So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be touched. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be excited. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock on a Thursday. The Message Talk Show with Alex Gordon. Yes, don't miss it. So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be touched. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be excited. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock on a Thursday. The Message Talk Show with Alex Gordon. Yes, don't miss it. So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be
Good morning, folks. Good morning, and it's your host again today, Alex Gordon, on the Message Talk Show. Another exciting day, another exciting moment in our lives when we have so much to be thankful for, so much to be grateful for, because it's another day. You know, there's nothing guaranteed in life. There's nothing guaranteed in life, and so we have to be grateful. We have to be thankful. So I don't know where you're joining us from today. You're joining us from the UK, from the States, from Australia. Wherever you're joining us from even Jamaica, where you're joining us from, welcome to the Message Talk Show, guys, and put a 1 in the chat. Come on, put a 1 in the chat to say you are grateful to be here. Come on, just say you're grateful to be here, because if you're not grateful, man, if you're not thankful, then man, what can I say about you, man? And today we're on the Message Talk Show. The Message Talk Show is where we bring passionate individuals who bring change. Passionate. Now, let me put context in this, okay? Passionate individuals who want to bring a positive contribution to life. Okay? Positive contribution to life. Today we have a passionate individual on the show, Mr. Colin Tomlin, an amazing guy, an amazing entrepreneur, publisher. You name it, this guy has done it. And you know what? Colin, how are you today, sir?
I am very well. I'm very well, man. How are you?
I'm probably not as good as you. I'm not as good as you today, man. But
I'm sure you're well, brother.
You sure I'm well?
Hey, sure you
know,
well.
Sometimes we put out the best outside, you know, and it looks like we're doing well. It looks like we're great. It looks like we're good, but we could be going through turmoil inside. You never know until someone says.
If that smile is plastic, you're doing well, man. It looks natural. It looks like it's coming straight from your heart. So I'm going to take it you're doing well.
If that smile is plastic. All right. So before we jump on the show today, guys, let me just say to you today is that the past 12, 16 months, we've been going through some challenges, and we give thanks for being here today. But this month, we're celebrating Black History Month. You know, I used to complain about Black History Month. I say, I'm black every day of my life. Every day of my life, I'm black. So why is there 1 month which I'm celebrating Black History Month, man? I'm black every day of my life. I celebrate Black history every day, every moment of my life. But then it was the realization that majority of the nation do not have the knowledge and understanding of our experiences as Black people. And therefore, it's an opportunity for them to participate, to learn. Now, contrary to popular beliefs, the Black education that we're talking about should be inside the schools. It should be inside the schools, in the syllabus. You shouldn't have Black History Month just to educate people, should it? But hey, this is where we are now, and we're dealing with. And so this month, we're celebrating the pioneers, the guys who came before, the guys who made it happen, the guys who came before and paved the way for us today. This year, we talked a lot about the Windrush guys, the Windrush generation. But do you know there was Black people in Britain before Windrush? Did you know that, Colin, that there was Black people in Britain before Windrush?
Absolutely.
Sometimes we seem to think that the only Black people that came here first was the Windrush generation, but no. If you go back to the 18th century, there's Black people in this country.
Absolutely.
And not poor Black people either. Black people doing well.
Absolutely. Funny enough, this morning, someone asked me for some information for Black History Month, and I was able to tell them about people like Ignacio Sancho, who was a writer, composer, businessman, who was instrumental in the abolitionist movement. And he was the first Black man to vote in British elections. That was in the 50s. In fact, he died in 1780 or thereabouts.
Wow.
But we're talking way before Windrush, and that's, you know, there's other people like Olaudah Equiano, again, a writer, a composer, and someone who was instrumental in the abolitionist movement. So we have been here for a while, and that's before we start talking about people like Queen Charlotte. So Black people have been around from way before Windrush in these British Isles.
So why is there this lack of information about prior to Windrush? There is no information that circulates in our community, on the media, in our school system about this.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the information isn't out there. Maybe we haven't done a great job as Black UK citizens or Black Britons in charting that history, in chronicling that history and making it available to everyone. You know, at the end of the day, whoever writes the story of history decides what goes in it. So maybe it's about us deciding.
That's a point you got there. Whoever writes the stories, my brother. And if that's something that needs to be done, guys, we need to write the stories. Absolutely. Am I right, Colin?
Absolutely. Unequivocally, I couldn't agree with you more.
Stop waiting for other people to write the stories. So, hey guys, so I am just welcoming Colin Tomlin to the show, and I just want to welcome you to the show because today it's going to be exciting. We're talking about Black History Month, and I just want to welcome you to the Message Talk Show. Welcome you to the podcast. You may be listening to the replay, and you may be listening live. Wherever you're listening from, just welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Message Talk Show. And I've just dropped my latest banner up. So, hey, you can see my banner. I'm proud of my banner, man. I'm proud of the things I do, man. And I'm not a designer. I'm not a designer, but yes, still we can do these things. So one of the great things about Colin is that I've known this guy for a very long time. A very, very long time.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing about this guy is that he has an eye for detail that I don't know where it came from, because when you ask Colin about what he was trained at, what he did for a living initially, you will hear a different story. So let me just jump in there, Colin. Where did this start for you, Colin, before we come into what you've done today?
Okay. I am Black British, born in the UK. I'm a Lewisham boy, South London by birth. Grew up in the beautiful island of Jamaica. My parents moved there in the 70s. I did all my high schooling there, all my primary schooling, all my basic schooling. Went to a school called Manchester High School in Mandeville, Jamaica. Big up to all the Chesterites watching. Came back to the UK in 1989, then went to the Uni of Westminster, did business administration. So that was my first foray into the world of business, or into the world of work, rather, as I worked as, my first job actually was as an accounts assistant at Jigsaw, the clothing brand. I loved Jigsaw, but I hated the job because it was just crunching numbers. And I think I was a little bit more creative than I was allowing myself to be. So that's a short potted history of the journey. After I left Jigsaw, I started doing contracting. In fact, no, after Jigsaw, I went to work for the Prudential. And the Prudential, I worked as a project manager, stroke IT business analyst. And that after that, I was made redundant. Then I became an IT contractor, did that for a while, loved it. Then my daughter was born and I was traveling all over the country. And basically I'd leave on a Monday morning and Judy wouldn't see me again until Friday because I stayed wherever I was working. And when our first daughter was born, I remember Judy saying to me, I know intellectually I'm married, but when I'm pushing a buggy and a pram around Tesco's, it doesn't feel like it. And that kind of forced me to make some
intellectual
changes.
marriage.
Yeah.
intellectual marriage. So you're there in spirit and in finances, but not there. Wow.
No. So yeah, so that then started a journey of, okay, there must be some stuff I can do that have me closer to home. And then so we've run nurseries, we've run other businesses. I've done contracting, business consulting, and then I ended my 40s as a publisher, and I thought I quite like this. So I was doing training, I was doing publishing, I was new to the whole online marketing world.
Yeah, but how did you get into publishing?
Loved it.
How did you get into publishing? Because that wasn't your forte. How did you get into publishing?
It wasn't my forte. When I got to the end, in fact, this is a story I'm going to tell you. And guys out there who are married, please do not say this story to your wife. It will freak me out.
Put a disclaimer in.
On the eve of my 40th birthday, I turned over to Judy, woke up, turned over to Judy, and the first thing out of my mouth was, "It is likely that I've lived for longer than I've got left to live." Now, that is not the kind of pillow talk that anybody wants to wake up to. And what was going on in my mind and in my heart at the time was, I've probably, in terms of the whole 70-year lifespan, I'm over that. So therefore, I need to get my skates on. I need to get a move on. I need to get all the things that I have in my heart and my head out so I can serve the world in the way that I thought I could. So there was this sense of urgency. And one of the best things I thought of at that time was, you need to write a book and just put your heart out there, because that's one of the quickest ways to share your story and to share your contribution to the world. So that's really where the whole publishing / writing thing started.
You made a decision that says,
yeah,
you have lived longer than you have what?
It is likely. It is likely. Let's not forget the word likely.
What a statement to make. What a statement to make.
Yeah,
but it was a decision that you made to say, right, I need to do something different. I need to push out what's inside of me. I need to get out there. And if, wherever you're listening from today, no matter what you're involved in and what you're doing, it's not impossible to change direction.
Absolutely not.
It's not impossible to change where you are. Today, we're talking about the Black entrepreneur spirit. And have we honored the history of the Black entrepreneurs who came before us, who did everything before us, so we can stand on their shoulders today?
Yeah.
And today absolutely. I have Mr. Colin Tomlin with us today, who told us that he made a decision to change direction.
It's all about that decision.
And followed through into the world of publishing.
So
how has that served you?
Well, we've done that for 10 plus years now, because, that kind of started round about my 40th birthday. A couple of months ago in May, I celebrated being 50. And I think as I get older, the whole sense of urgency kind of comes about. Now, it has to be said, my dad is 93, so we've kind of got long living genes in our family. So I don't plan on going anywhere, but I plan on doing as much as I can while I'm here before I go anywhere. So far, we've published a couple of books. These are two of the latest books that we've got out there: the Grow How Experience and the Grow How Formula. We are all about helping people to grow. It's all about helping people to discover their identity, to define their intent, and deliver their impact to the world. And I think once an individual gets that, if you understand that your life is as a kettle, you don't worry about making toast. And I think that's one of the things we're really keen on imparting to people. Understand who you are and do you. Don't worry about the other stuff.
So if your life is about, if you're a kettle, don't worry about making toast.
That's it.
Just keep the water hot.
That's it. We in fact, one of the first stories, one of the stories that's captured in this book is about the life of a toaster named Bernie, who was so enamored by this guy he saw called Whistler. And it's set in the town of Breckyville. And Bernie was just so enamored by this Bernie the toaster was so enamored by this kettle called Whistler that he used to just watch him with intent. And one day he kind of asked him, hey, what is it about you that makes you you? And he said, hey, I was created to be a kettle, and all my life is about doing and being a kettle. And Bernie at that time realized that actually he couldn't be Whistler because he wasn't created. It wasn't in his DNA and in his purpose to be a kettle. He was about being a toaster. So Whistler encouraged him, hey, be the best toaster you can. Don't worry about becoming like me. Just worry about exhibiting the same excellence that I do in doing what I do. You own your space and go make it happen.
See, the challenge is where most people are concerned is recognizing from a very early age that you're a kettle.
Yeah.
The identity that people sometimes discover in later life, they don't always arrive there very early. Very, very few people find it very early.
Yeah.
The creatives, the gifted find it very early. A lot of people struggle to get there after going through several things. Why do you think people struggle then to find that true identity of who they are and who they're meant to be?
Well, I think some of the struggle is to do with expectation, the expectation of others. So, society places an expectation on us. So if you are tall, muscular, then you are destined to be an athlete. If you're a bit of a bookworm, you're destined to be a scientist. So we place expectations on others as a society, and then within the family setting, our parents and older siblings will set expectations on us. This is so. If you're born into a family of doctors, for example, then the expectation is that you're going to carry on the family tradition and become a doctor yourself. If you're born into a family of pastors, for example, then or a Christian family, a spiritual family, the expectation is you're going to carry on that tradition. And what happens is the weight of expectation kind of stifles that discovery. Now, having said all of that, I think it's good to kind of explore other things, because it's by exploration of other things and exposure to other things that we really help to helps to discover who we are and to discover the identity, discover our thinking, discover our passions, discover the picture that we have in our heads and in our heart. And those things are instrumental in being able to define the kind of thing that you want to do. Who am I? What's my life about? And why do I exist? So, even though we start with the weight of expectation, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because it helps us to really explore and expose ourselves to other things that helps with our discovery of, okay, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I believe my purpose is about. And this is the thing that I really believe is going to help me to make a huge contribution to society and leave a great legacy.
Well, you see, with the weight of expectation, depending on the type of family you come from, if you come from a family that's, who's more or less trying to prescribe and dictate the path to lead you somewhere specific, you have to be very strong-willed to break that expectation.
Absolutely.
From family traditions.
Absolutely.
And not everybody are very successful at doing that in a very decent way to make it happen. So therefore, the weight of expectation is very, very heavy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm thinking I remember years ago, I was at a coaching session in central London, And the coach was he was talking about the expectations of families.
Mm.
And this lady, she just burst into tears.
Wow.
And he gave her a moment. She was crying her eyes out. And he asked her, so why are you crying? And she said, all my life, I have done exactly what my parents wanted me to do.
Wow.
I have become an architect. I'm in an architectural practice, all because that's what my parents laid out for me, provided the finance for me, and did everything for me to get there.
Wow.
But honestly, I want to work with children. I really want to work with children. I love having young children around me. And she did a lot of work inside Sunday school, inside church, and that just affirmed the relationship she had with kids. But yet still, she was in an architectural practice, finding it and this was a grown woman.
Wow.
It's a grown, so breaking the weight of expectation can be difficult sometimes, but it can be done. And it has to be done.
It absolutely can be done, and it absolutely must be done, because otherwise you will live your life in one sphere, yearning to be in another. And what happens is you end up being completely miserable, completely disconnected from your passions, your heart, the things that make you tick. And then over here, you have other people who are missing out on the gift that you have to contribute to that space. So it's in that sense, it's a lose-lose. And therefore, the converse is finding your passion, finding the thing. I've heard it described as finding the thing that makes you sing, or finding the thing that makes your heart sing.
Yeah.
Finding the thing that makes your heart sing is a win-win, because it affirms it affirms who you are, and it gives you that sense of purpose, that sense of passion, that sense of contribution on the one hand, and on the other hand, it basically provides a solution to the people who need it most, because your contribution is the solution that they're looking for.
Wow. So you broke the weight of expectation from
Absolutely.
being what, a pastor?
That's it. In fact, I'm gonna write that down. Your contribution is the solution. That's it. So sorry, you were asking me about the weight of.
So you broke the weight of expectation, and if anything had been expected from the tradition from which you come from, it's more than likely that you'd have ended up in pastoring a church somewhere.
Well, funny enough, my dad's a pastor, so lots of people laid out the route for me, and it was pastoring. And I remember when I was leaving one church to go to explore the entrepreneurial options that I had in front of me. I remember one guy, and he loved it. He wasn't saying it with a sense of manipulation. He was saying it through a heart of love. He loved me, and he shared that love. And he was a dear friend of our family. Is a dear friend of our family. And he said, Colin, you're walking away from your legacy. And I remember thinking, that's heavy. But I remember saying, I hear that, but I believe I'm walking towards my destiny. And sometimes we have to break that hold of the legacy that we're born into to just go out there and find the destiny that we belong to. And that will make the world a better place, because we walked away from legacy towards our destiny. So lots of people have this notion that I should start a church and be a pastor, but I don't see it. But the funny thing is, in everything that we've done, Judy and I, we've been incredibly pastoral. So even though we're not operating as pastors, or I'm not a pastor, the feedback I'm getting is we're incredibly pastoral. So, it's not a million miles away, is it?
Well, Don has just come through and said blessings. He said blessings on you.
Hey, blessings, blessings, Don.
So your destiny took you to publishing, and the very first magazine you published, which was, what was it called?
It's a magazine called Experience Growth, EG magazine, and it's all about. It was all about helping people to discover their identity, define their intent, and deliver impact. So really, it was about encouraging people, and it was a selection of thinking, tales, tools, and tips to help people go on that entrepreneurial journey of discovery, of definition, and delivering their impact.
Thinking, tales, and tips. The 3 T's.
Thinking, tales, tools, and tips.
Thinking, tales, tools, and tips. Amazing.
Yeah.
And that then led you into this year pushing something out called Pitch Black Magazine. What was the motive behind that one?
I love the idea behind Pitch Black Magazine. We are incredibly passionate about it, and Pitch Black kind of started its genesis in May 2020, really. So the whole world watched the horror that unfolded before us when, you know, George Floyd was brutally, callously murdered by a police officer. And I remember watching my 16-year-old son at the time just kind of have his face etched with fear, with confusion, with despair, with, you know, incredulity. All of those emotions were being played out with him, because he looked at the scene and he thought, that guy looks like me. And if that guy looks like me and that's happening to him, maybe that's my fate. And as a father, that was the most helpless I felt, because, you know, as much as I could just hold him in my arms, which I did, I couldn't solve all of that anguish that was going on within him. So that was one thing that helped to do this. And I realized that lots of people were having conversations about us, but not really engaging with us and hearing from us. And so that was one of the catalysts. The second catalyst was I was taking the same son, Ruben, to the barber when things opened up after the 3rd lockdown, I think it is. And I said to him, I was thinking about the magazine then, and, you know, should I not do it? And I said to him, have you heard of Dyke and Dryden? And he said, are they a group like Earth, Wind and Fire? And I thought, come on, this is ridiculous. And I was a little bit annoyed at him. But then I thought, how would he know? Yeah. I haven't shared it with him. That's so true. I can't really be upset with him because he doesn't know something that I didn't teach him or didn't share with him. So the idea then was about, you know what, let's launch this magazine called Pitch Black. And Pitch Black is all about being bold, being beautiful, being Black, and being British. And the aim of Pitch Black, or the mission of Pitch Black, is helping us to do 3 things. One is our experience. We really need to be highlighting those heroes of our past, and people like Dyke and Dryden, who are on the cover of the newly launched issue, is one of those people. The second thing we needed to do is we needed to provide exposure to some of the great people and products and businesses and books that are out there that chart and chronicle our experience. And that's really about hosting our present. And the third thing we needed to do was we needed to provide an avenue for our expression and bring some great thought leaders together so that we can herald a better future. So in essence, it's about 3 things. It's about highlighting our past, hosting our present, and heralding our future. So, hey, that's Pitch Black Magazine. Yep, the web address is there. Please go and get the magazine. It's absolutely free. Go get it. It's our contribution to the Black UK experience here. www.pitchblackmagazine.com. and you can sign up and you can get the magazine. You can get it immediately as soon as you sign up, immediate access. And if you are one of those people who want to be flicking through, we cater for you as well, because you can actually buy the magazine as a physical subscription. But our commitment is we're going to provide the magazine for free as an online magazine. So, yeah.
Wow. So tell us about Dyke and Dryden then, because your son thought they were a group, a pop group or a rock star group. Dyke and Dryden.
Dyke and Dryden. Yeah. So yeah, we're incredibly excited about it. We've got some great feedback. One person sent me a message and it simply said, "Wow." Another person said, "Wow, it's beautiful." Another person said, "Hey, I've opened the magazine and I haven't read it yet. I flicked through it, but I'm immediately cheered up and inspired." So that's what we want. We just want to encourage people. We just want to make a contribution. We want to help us to own our narrative. We want us to be able to confidently, with passion and with purpose, tell our stories. Let's chart the story of the Black UK history, because, we didn't just come here in the Windrush, and we have made significant contributions to this country, of which we're proud of, and we want to continue to make significant contributions to this country without denying who we are, because our experience is unique. And the real heart of diversity for me is being able to embrace all of the stories that make up the British history. So we're here to tell, as it were, our side of the story.
Wow. So Dyke and Dryden were the first kind of Black entrepreneurs in what industry?
They weren't the first, but they came about at a time in the 80s where things were dire for us. We didn't have a lot of the things that we needed. So one of the things, for example, was hair care. Our hair is different, and therefore we need different products because it's a different process. And these guys recognized that, hey, there is an opportunity here. But even before that, Len Dyke, one of the founders, along with Dudley Dryden, who founded the company, he was an activist at heart. So he was born in Jamaica, came to this country. He came to this country looking for opportunity, and a lot of the opportunities that he thought could have been open to him weren't open to him. And so he ended up working as an electrician for British Rail, which wasn't uncommon at the time. But he wanted to do more, and he started an electrical contracting business, and he struggled to get clients because the climate at the time was we will remember the slogan from those days, which was "No blacks, no Irish, no dogs." So it was incredibly difficult to get clients. And then at that time, there were a lot of racist incidents. So by default, he became an activist. And he was instrumental in setting up organizations like, I think it's the West Indies Standing Conference, which was a coalition of Black groups. And they were all about bringing Black people together and trying to solve some of the challenges that we faced. And one of the things he decided, or one of the routes he decided to take, was actually, we need to be in business, because by being in business, we can control our destiny, we can control the narrative, and we can become an ecosystem in our own right. And so he said that. And of course, the banks weren't interested, because at the time, you just didn't lend to black business people, because that was an oxymoron in itself. Black and businessman or black and businesswoman, it's not a term that went together. So he really had no love and no joy from the banks. And, you know, he went out to the rest of the community and said, hey, I'm going to do this. I need some investors. And they were only a little more keen than the banks, because they were like, no. So they weren't willing to put their money where their mouths were. And it was only one guy, Dudley Dryden, who said, okay, I'll come in with you. And hence Dyke and Dryden was formed. And initially they started life as Double D Records for Dyke and Dryden. So Double D Records imported records from from Jamaica, and it became a place where the community, the black community that was growing from the Caribbean and from other parts of Africa, it became a place that they could come to and kind of get the goods from home, get the products that reminded them of home. And then the record shop added on a travel agency, and it added on a shipping agency, and it just became a hodgepodge of entrepreneurial ideas that served the people in the community. So the really key thing here is, at the heart, these guys were community focused. It was all about serving the community. It was never about making money. And so they became, they in a sense became entrepreneurial activists. And realizing that, hang on, this community has a need. We really need to meet that need. Now, 3 years after they started, I think it's in 1968, but the information is in the cover story of the magazine. A guy called Tony Wade came on board, and Tony Wade was he came on board as the marketing manager at the time, and Tony was able to help help Dyke and Dryden to really streamline their operation. So, soon after he came on board, the record distribution business or record importation business went, the travel agency went, and they focused on hair and beauty products. And ultimately, that's what they became known for. In the 70s and 80s, if you wanted black hair care products, if you wanted black beauty products, the people who you went to was Dyke and Dryden.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So do you think we've done enough really then to acknowledge our history, our precious history in this country as black people? Do you think we've done enough? I know there's some museums around, that now cater for black history. But do you think we've done enough to bring it to the forefront of the public?
Yeah. I think one of the challenges, the information isn't necessarily out there. And the other challenge is we tend to just accept what we've been told. So the consensus seems to be that the black population in the UK only emerged as a result of the Windrush. So this is the Windrush generation is called
the Black Caribbean. The Black Caribbean.
Well, certainly the Black Caribbean.
Yeah.
The Windrush generation were people whose forefathers came over from the Caribbean islands on SS Empire Windrush, which was the name of the ship, hence the name, the Windrush generation. But, we've been here from way before then. We've been making a contribution from way before then. There are stories that there are books that we highlight in the magazine that we really need to go out and read. So there's a historian called David Olusoga, and he's written a book called Black and British, which is also the subject of a BBC documentary, which should still be on iPlayer. And we've been here for a while. As they say where I come from, we never just come. We've been here for a while. So That's some of the things that Pitch Black are really wanting to do, is wanting to expose us to the idea that, you know, we are here, we have been here for a while, and we have been making significant contributions, and we really need to continue to make significant contributions, and we want to.
Wow.
So let's do it.
The one thing that came to light over the years is that well, the question is entrepreneurship for everyone? But on the same count, our pioneers didn't just build businesses as in product-based businesses.
Yeah.
There were other things that they did. They are pioneers, and if you read into the history of the Caribbean community and even African community as well, there's a large portion of religion there.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it all depends on what we define entrepreneurship as.
Yes.
And what we tend to do is focus on commercial entrepreneurship or commercial enterprise. But entrepreneurship kind of covers the whole gamut of life. And entrepreneurship for me, at its core, is about looking at a need, being aware of a need, and providing a solution for that need.
Okay.
So, you know, when our parents came here, and you'll know this because our parents came to the UK around about the same time. When our parents came here, they were deeply spiritual, religious people. They went to church. It was a huge part of their tradition and of their lives. And, you know, again, they got no love from the established churches. You know, my dad would tell me stories of going to a church, and then at the end, you know, the vicar or somebody pulling them aside and saying, hey, you know, we love your exuberance, we love your singing, you know, we love the vibe that you bring, but we're not sure that this is the right church for you.
Oh my God.
And you know, they left confused because they were like, hold on a second, you know, I thought we were worshiping the same God. I thought we were part of the same Christian family. And so the end result was we started our own church and church traditions. And so one of the churches, called the New Testament Church of God, came out of that. And, you know, our parents, my own dad, your mom and dad, were instrumental in setting that up. So would they be classed as pioneers in the traditional sense, or entrepreneurs rather in the traditional sense? Probably not. But to me, they were spiritual and social entrepreneurs, because they saw something that needed to be done and they just went and did it. So that pioneering spirit is part of who we are. And I think as a community, we start more businesses than most other communities, simply because we have to create our own opportunities. So that whole Dyke and Dryden thing is not unique, because very often we'll go out there, something isn't there for us, and so we decide, okay, I need to create this, and so we do. So we may not all be entrepreneurs, but at our core and in our history and in our DNA, we are incredibly entrepreneurial.
That's true. That is true. I can be a witness to that, because what brings to mind then is talking about some of the people in our community who are very good cooks, good cooks, and they will cook and provide food that people come and collect from their establishments, from where they are. They're not necessarily working in a restaurant or anything else, but they create a solution. There's so many of that.
We're always doing a little hustle. There's always something that we think, yeah, I can do that. And we go out and get it done.
Side hustle.
And my passion and commitment is ensuring that as we go through the generations and as we become more of a feature of modern British life, we don't lose that. We don't lose that entrepreneurial spirit. You know, in the quest to become a part of, we don't assimilate so much that we lose some of the essence of who we are and what we're really about. Because I think, diversity is not necessarily about sameness.
Yes.
It's about diversity isn't homogeny.
Yes.
Diversity is being able to celebrate the different things that make us one. One of my mentors, the late Joel Edwards, passed away recently. One of the books he wrote was "Lord, make us one, but not the same." And I that for me is the essence of diversity. The oneness of spirit, the oneness of vision, but not homogenous and thinking the same, looking the same, being the same, talking the same. That isn't diversity.
No. Wow. So Pitch Black Magazine is going to do. What's the future for Pitch Black Magazine? And what do you see it? Where do you see it pitching itself?
We really see Pitch Black Magazine as the go-to magazine for the Black UK individual or professional who wants to understand the Black experience and Black enterprise. The magazine is pitched as the UK's Black enterprise and experience magazine. So that's what we're really about. We want to get to the stage where we can highlight the history, because very often, I saw recently an organization, a great organization, attempting to embrace Black History Month and talk about, the Black contribution in the UK. And I realized that all the figures they talked about were American figures. So I'm like,
all the stats were American.
All the figures that they used, all the people that they highlighted were Black Americans, and it's great the fact that they're attempting to do that. They should be lauded for going out of their way to say, hey guys, we celebrate Black History Month. This is what the Black contribution to the UK has been. Yeah. But we need to get to the stage where the Black UK contributors to Black History Month and Black history as a whole are readily available and out there. And that's one of the things that Pitch Black aims to do. So we don't just highlight the figures in the past, but we also want to highlight figures now who, in 100 years' time, will be historical figures, like you and me, because as much as we want to, I won't be around in 100 years, but I want the work that we do and the contribution that we do to be around for 100 years. So in 100 years, when someone's looking at Pitch Black, I want them to remember the great legacy and all of the great people here in the UK, Black people who have been bold, beautiful, Black and British, who've made a significant contribution to this world through our products, through our businesses, through our books, through our songs, through our athletic ability, through our food, through the whole gamut, rather than just one-sided as it is at the moment.
There's a bigger picture there that we need to paint.
Absolutely.
There's a bigger picture we need to paint.
In fact, I want to just big up your article, because you wrote an article in this issue called "Raising Your Black Voice," and I think you ended the article by saying, "Wouldn't it be great in 2121, i.e., 100 years from now, that a child, any child in the UK, Black, white, Chinese, from whichever heritage, can go to the British Museum and see the contribution of Black people readily available, readily accessible, and think, wow, that's great." and the young Black child looking and saying, yeah, my forefathers did that. And it not being a big thing, it's just being a natural course of conversation.
And that'll be amazing, because that would then bring a sense of identity to that future young person trying to find their way in British life and the British economy. knowing that their forefathers were here, knowing that
Absolutely.
they did it, they made it happen,
Absolutely.
and they contributed so they can find their place.
You know, racism at its core, I don't believe is about hatred. I think racism at its core is about ignorance. And that ignorance breeds confusion, apprehension, separation, and then sometimes that can mutate into hate. But nobody starts off hating for the sake of hate. You hate because. And so if we can work on the because and get rid of that ignorance, get rid of that anxiety, get rid of that sense of not knowing and that sense of otherness, I think we can go a long way. You know, it starts first of all with ignorance of self. If I don't know who I am, oh no, my phone's ringing. I'm so sorry. I thought I turned it off. If I don't know who I am, then anybody can tell me who I am. And I might not like it, but there's part of it that says, because I don't fully know who I am, maybe there's an element of truth in that. Yeah. Wow. And so we take some of those things and we internalize them, and, you know, they grow inside our hearts and it helps to shape our identity. And so we behave a certain way as a result of something that someone said. However, had we known who we are with absolute certainty, then we could say, you know what, I really feel bad for that person, and I'm sad you have, or you say directly to them, I'm sad you have that view, but you have that view because you don't know me. If you know me, you wouldn't have that view. Yeah. And so it's the knowledge of self, and then exposing ourselves to be known by others.
Yeah.
That's what I think the future is. And so Pitch Black is about exposing ourselves to be known by others. So, you know, my wife Judy gave me this term. I think it's called FIFU. Or FUFI. FIFU, for everyone from us. So Pitch Black is for everyone. We don't want it to be exclusive. We don't want it to be something that just Black people read. But we want it to be something that charts our story. So it's for everyone, but it's from us.
Woo! Hey, man, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? That's a profound statement there. For everyone, from us. That's Pitch Black Magazine coming to you from Colin Tomlin. Colin, it's been a privilege, it's been an honor to speak to you today.
Likewise. Where's the time gone?
The history unfold. Because do you realize years to come, you'll be telling the history of how you arrived at Pitch Black?
Absolutely.
And the various publications you came through.
Yeah.
And the books you've written. And the constant pushing out there of your identity. And that has not left you. You've always spoken about identity.
That's it, man.
In fact, you've always preached about identity.
That's it. At its core,
one that you speak about all the time.
At its core, you know, growth is about identity. Because it's about seeing something in the future that you are about, that you're passionate about. And as you move towards it, that's the process of growth. So growth and identity and impact is, and you know, the sequence of growth is first about discovering identity. Yep. Then the next step is about defining your intent. Now that I know who I am, what am I going to do about it? What is out there that I really believe I have something inside of me to contribute towards? What is the solution that I can provide? And then the last step is about delivering that impact. What do I want that change to look like as a result of me doing who I am?
Woo!
That's it, man.
I can see the conference. I can see the Pitch Black conference, Colin.
Watch out.
Identity.
We've got some great plans.
Identity and intent.
That's it, man.
Intent,
Identity, intent, impact. You will never hear me speak without mentioning at least one of those three things.
Wow. Folks, it's been an honor just speaking, just talking to you today. Guys, I don't know where you've been listening from today. We've been talking about the Black entrepreneur spirit. Have we honored the Black history that's so precious to us in this country? And Colin says that until we acknowledge the past and then allow the past to be shown to the people around us, to get out there, and so people can see, because the ignorance comes from people not truly understanding us, people not actually seeing us out there. And so when they do see us, it's with a lot of suspicion. They don't really know who you are. They don't understand you. But hey, we're coming to you with Pitch Black in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Hey, for the next 100 years, man. Pitch Black will be here. Chart in the future. Colin, it's been great talking to you. And I'm going to give you one word. One word, Colin. You know, you're a guy who can talk. You know, you hold any stage. You ain't got a problem speaking on stage. So give me a sentence that you'll say. You've already said from
for everyone.
From us. So give me another word that you say to the community today.
Hey, your contribution is your solution, or rather, your contribution is the solution. Yeah.
Woo.
That's it.
Your contribution is the solution.
The solution.
Wow. And sometimes we underestimate what we got.
That's it. Yeah.
We underestimate it. And then we walk out there and we see someone else with the same idea and say, my God, man, I thought about that.
That's
you
it.
Didn't push it out. But
that's it.
One of the things about contribution.
The last word I will actually say, if you don't mind, is actually your article, because it just resonates, and it's about raising your Black voice. And when you hear that phrase, you think, what do you mean, raise my voice? Do you mean be angry, be upset? No. It's about raise the level of your conversation. Start thinking about the future. Start thinking about what you want to do for the future. Start thinking about what the changes you want to see for the future. Start putting yourself out there and the things that you've got inside of you out there, because your voice is a powerful thing. And so when you raise your Black voice, you start being proud of who you are. You start having those intellectual conversations. You start having those really mind-changing, mind-altering conversations with others to say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're about. You're not being angry. You're not being upset, but you're just being matter of fact. Why? Because you know who you are.
Woo.
And when you know who you are, you don't have to shout to convince someone. Just do you. You know, Usain Bolt, he doesn't shout from the rafters, I'm the greatest in the world. I'm the greatest of all time. He just go out there and he performs. And then others end up saying, he is the greatest of all time.
Acknowledge you. Yes.
So people acknowledge contribution. So go out there, contribute, and that's how you raise your Black voice.
Wow. Get on the website and put your name down for pitchblackmagazine.com. Guys, you're listening to the editor, you're listening to the publisher, you're listening to the producer, you're listening to the visionary of Pitch Black Magazine. I thank you for tuning in today, guys. I thank you for just being on the show, because, you know, so much has been said, so much has come through our hearts.
Absolutely.
And it's important that we don't forget these things.
Yeah.
It's important. So go to Pitch Black Magazine as we say goodbye, and we see you again on the Message Talk Show on Thursday. Let me go quickly to the sponsor.
You are listening to the Message Talk Show and podcast. Do you believe you have something to share? Do you believe you have something to contribute? Do you have a story to tell the world, to share with your community? Gandhi said, man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So join us on the Message Talk Show and podcast with host Alex Gordon.
the show, you got to be on this show.